Hey, this is Tracy with Color Me This. I'm on episode 49 today, and it is finally at long last the Crayola detailed walkthrough of the 100 set and the Colors of the World. Both of them were purchased at Walmart. The 100 set I bought a long time ago. I think it was $14. I haven't verified what they are today. And then the Colors of the World were purchased more recently, and they have just been waiting in the queue for me to get through them. I am ready to talk about them. It took a long time. I tried to treat the skin tones as a separate, somewhat separate mini spin-off item. So I have a video that will be going out as a part B after this. And I will be sharing today the finished pieces of these coloring pages showing each of the 3 different skin tones, and I will talk more about that later. So first we're going to go through looking at the pencils. The pencils have very hard to read lettering. They do not have a number, so you will see that I have numbered them. The sort order they are in, I believe, is the order of when I bought them. And I believe I went with what's on the back of the package, though since these have been in this case for so long, I am not really sure, and I did not want to resort them, so I just went ahead and said they're going to stay as is. To my eye, they look relatively close to color family order. The wood of the pencils is a bit funky. There are certain pencils that fray significantly. You can see the end of this wood is fraying out. And then I find with these browns, for whatever reason, I am not sure if they're scratchy, but they have scratched the paper. And you'll notice that some of them have been sharpened. I have used them. None of the wood is anywhere close to the tips. Here's another one that's very frayed. If I can get it to focus, there you go. So it's just, and my sharpener, when I sharpen them, makes I am working really hard crunching sound versus pencils that are really easy to sharpen. So that is for that. I find 100 isn't quite enough, and when I go through the swatch chart, you will see how they don't quite go to the full depth of the colors. Like, they don't go as light of a light as I would like, and they don't go as dark of a dark as I would like. So they're kind of, if you're a tritone, you like to use just 3 light, medium, dark. It's going to be a challenge. I find the biggest challenge is on the dark end. The one color family that I think did have decent darks were the blues. You can see here I'm just on the blue page, and we have some really cool color names. It's like as they went through, they picked standard names, but then a few of them, and if you guys know why, they did crazy names. Like this outer space is a deep, deep, almost black, blue-purple. And there's another one. Bluebell is a unique one. We have Fuzzy Wuzzy. So it feels to me like there was something with the naming of them that happened. So Fuzzy Wuzzy is a fun one. So you do have a couple of really fun color names that pop up as you're going through them. We have Jazzberry Jam. I would love to own the 150 because of the missing colors in the light and darks for me, because I like to do blends with more like 5 is my ideal blend, and I'll go to 6 or 7 if need be, especially in larger spaces. And they felt good in my hand. They live with my Prismas. I think I might have even got them around the same time as the Prismas, this 100 set, because they've always lived together in this case. This case is a 250 case, so literally there is 1 free slot here. I think this case is like a 252. All right, so that is just the general. Just set that on the ground. The general thought I have. I feel these are a very hard pencil. I'm going to get in closer here. So what I did for looking at barrels, I grabbed 4 different sets that are harder pencils. Well, 2 of them are hard pencils. So I'm going to do some testing with these 2. I grabbed the Starjoy Gold and my Prangs. And then I have the Kalour 120s, as well as the Amazon Basics. So these sets of pencils are roughly similar in price, the exception being that Prang is significantly less expensive. And so I have some thoughts on that because I think, like I said, paid $14 for the 100 set. And right now on Amazon, for the Prangs, you can get a 72 set of Prangs for $6.20. So it used to be you could buy the 50 Prang, which is the set that I use for my coloring group. And those, again, I bought them as a special deal and they're not available anymore, for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. And online they were $4.99, and I've noticed they are $6.19, 1 cent cheaper than the 72s. So anybody on there should be getting the 72s, not the 50s. So Prang's very hard, Starjoy very hard, and then cost-wise, you know, if you get the 150, which I think includes the Colors of the World, they are $27.95. And I haven't checked pricing on the Starjoy Gold, but I think I paid about $23 to $25, and then the Kalour I paid $19.99. So that was $120. So the 150 Crayolas at $27 on Walmart, I think, for what I've been experiencing with them, they are a more difficult pencil to work with. I can get stuff done, but you have to really work for it. And so I would be more inclined to buy a Kalour than a Crayola for the hardness issue alone. And I will have demonstrations of that. Already finished projects showing how hard they are. And then I am going to do a quick test between the Prang and the Starjoy Gold to see which one I really feel is the hardest. All right, so I'm going to grab a Crayola, and looking at all of these, they're pretty similar. They all have metallic, but I will tell you, the having the color name and number be legible is so important to me. It was very, very challenging. I was glad when I finally put the numbers on, because then it just became so much faster. So the Prang is almost easy to read compared to the Crayola. Hopefully you can see the difference there. If not, I will go ahead and bring it up close. Obviously my table is no longer level. So definitely the Prang, between them, the Prang is the easier one to read to me. Way bigger letters and in all caps. The Kalour, very easy to read and does come with a number. Amazon Basics is because of cost, but they are a softer pencil just like the Kalour are. And I can read the name and the number. I like the silver over the gold. And then of course Starjoy, you can see the number and the name. Very easy, very large. So I have my calipers here. And I'm going to see, I have not checked the barrel thicknesses of these. So these are in a diameter. This is, if I push really hard, I can get it to 7.10. And that was the Starjoy. 7.40. That was Prang. Amazon Basics, 7.12. Kalour, 7.06. And Crayola is the thinnest. So from here, let's check the size. I've got the Crayola on the far left, and I'm looking down here with you. I think that their amount of pigment is competitive. It even looks bigger than the Kalour is definitely the thinnest or the smallest diameter, and I don't know that you get the diameter dimensions called out for that model of the Kalours. The Prangs claim they're a 3.3, and if you guys, you can give your opinion in the comments, but I think the Crayola is as big or a little bit larger diameter, and I know that the Amazon Basics is a 3.8. You can see how monstrous that is, and then the Starjoy Gold right behind it. So I'm going to grab the Crayola. So Amazon Basics is $15 for a 72 set. That's the largest that they come in, and the diameter is quite a bit larger. I did not see any issues with the paint on the Crayola. I did not see any issues with the imprint. The imprint on these was consistent on every single pencil. So that is a good thing. I'm going to move on now to the swatches. We'll set these aside so we can see what colors you get. All right, so I feel that the yellows are a little bit on the light side. That seems to be something I always say. Here's the yellows, but you have white, almond, peach. All three of those aren't really yellows. I do like unmellow yellow a lot as like an underlayment, just a soft color tone. It's one of the nicest soft color tones of any of the set of the color families. I think yellows, I would like for each of the color families to have a color that light. And with 100, I just don't think that there's enough slots to be able to achieve that. The oranges are also a little bit light represented. I would like, we go from this orange, here's the orange red, so maybe this is my bad. That should be over here, and lobster red over there. So I'm going to say now that I think a couple more oranges would be nice, but we go right into the salmons and the peaches here, and I like all of those. I think that is a nice number of the peachy orange colors. The darkest that you get is maroon, brick red, and raspberry, and I would like to see a more dark, and I'm looking over here in the browns. Sometimes they will put the dark brownish tones, like there is dark brown and then a color called beaver, and those two are very dark, but they're still pretty alike. The dark brown looks grayish and beaver looks maybe slightly reddish, but I would like to have more, and I bet in the 150 that you would have it. We go to the pinks. I like all of the pinks because they have like a peachy pink and a nice blue toned or cold toned pink, but again I would love something lighter. I really like the pale rose, mauve, and mauvelous. Those are wonderful colors, and mauvelous being one of the other fun color names. Purples are good. I like them. I think it's silly that I put navy blue right here in the middle. That probably was an oversight, and by the time I started numbering, I just left it. I like how dark it is. This is where I think the blues represented well as far as going to the darker darks, because they have the navy blue and outer space. They're lacking like a Prussian blue, but I'm okay with that. I don't use that kind of tone very often, but it is missing. And I don't have a good sky blue. The best sky blue is right here, which has a little hint of green, and then you have this fun name, Bluebell, which I still think both of those are on the darker side, so the lights of the blues aren't well represented. Green is a tough one because you have the different color tones of green, and I did not find any dark greens. This teal is not the right color to be a dark mixed in, and pine and green over here are just not dark enough. And of course, green is my favorite color, so I suffer when I don't have my darks. I did like their lights. They have three nice tones of green, including a fourth one if you include Granny Smith apple. Then we go into the browns. They did the best they could with the browns given what they had. Fuzzy Wuzzy should be a pink. Again, another misstep on my part. And if I were going to be using these, I would have resorted them. But because this is just for having a set of detailed notes on these pencils, and then maybe I will have coloring group people that are interested in trying them. I wanted to complete. I want all of my sets to have detailed walkthroughs. Oh, there's a worker person zooming by in their cart. Way too fast. It is sunny today, by the way, going to be a high of 70. So not very warm, but it is nice to have. We had 4 sunny days in a row this week, which has been lovely. And then now we're moving on to the, like I said, the browns. You know, because I have the colors of the world, I have all the browns I could ever need. But let's just look at the set. The browns, I think, are going into the darks. But because they don't go into the darks, like a blue toned, a pink toned, a yellow toned, a green toned in the super dark, that could have worked for the darks in the color families. I'm going to say that's a little bit on the light side. And a mid brown. They had a lot of lights. I see a lot of what I would consider light browns here, but not very many medium browns. They even have one called light brown. Right here. Here is what their light brown is, and I found that it is a little bit on the light side. When I was coloring, I did find a couple of the colors on this paper ended up marbly looking. It's like it could not cover the tooth all the way, and I'm going to point out some colors that do this. The Fuzzy Wuzzy, Burnt Sienna, Tan, and the light brown. They all were maybe a little bit too translucent or something, so it made it difficult to get a dark coverage. And even the color green also has, I colored as much as I could of that color, and I could not get it to fill in the tooth. But then over here, with dark brown, beaver, and black, I had no problem getting the tooth filled in. And then here's gray. I actually used gray on one coloring project, and I had a very difficult time getting it to fill in all the tooth, because I believe those pigments are a little bit on the transparent side. But on the other hand, I found many of the colors very pigmented. So it was kind of a mix for that. I had a really fun time doing the color combos. So on the color combo sheet, here is what it ends up looking like. You'll see that at the bottom here, I did the skin tones. The 24 colors of the world go very light to very dark in 3 different tints, 3 different tones of skin color. So you'll see that there's almond, rose, and golden. Oh, and Hub is home, so I'm going to pause and let him get settled, and I'll be back. All right, I am back. Okay, so as I said, there are 3 different tones to the skin tones. And so I went ahead and put all of the colors. There are 10 almonds, 7 roses, and 7 goldens for a total of 24. I have some notes here. So if we go from the top, the sunset, sunshine, burnt orange were all very good, very pigmented. I lost a little bit of pigment on 89. You can see that 89 looks nice and colored in. In fact, I might zoom in so you guys can get a better look at each of the combination. Just like that. Okay, so like I said, sunshine. 89 looked pretty good down below, but when I went up above and was trying to do the blending part, I found it stippled a little bit, and that's a problem I have found with some of the colors, the brown ones. But then burnt orange looked really good. I believe in another comparable set, which I'm going to have to go get. I will be pausing to go get. I want to compare some of the other hard color combos from the Starjoy Gold and the Prang for comparison. Poppy looked pretty good. Number 22 didn't go dark enough for me. I would love for it to have gone dark enough, but it just didn't. So it finishes it off okay, but I still would like it to go deeper toward the browns, and I could have maybe swapped out to a brown, but I thought that 22 should fill that spot, and it did not as well as I would liked it to, and I loved Daisy. Daisy did really well. Ocean looked good. Again, you can tell that the blues go dark enough, but they didn't go light. I had nothing lighter. I think 57 and 58. These 2 are the lightest tones I had. So normally when I do the color combos, I do ocean, sky, teal, and aqua, but I had no teal tones. So the couple that were teal-ish, like 61 is teal-ish, I had to put it in with the aqua because that's the only way I could come up. And that is just a 3 blend because I didn't have the ability to go any darker because I only have the 100 set. Leaf was really good. I really liked Leaf. I have had problems. I think the Kalour set didn't have the right leaf tones for me to come with a nice blend. I think that is a nice blended set. I would always love to have gone darker, but I thought 64 was a good light tone. And then Lime came out wonderfully. It maybe 70 here shows a little bit of modeling, a little bit of tooth, and it also consistently shows tooth right here. So I might, and I have found that you have to work really hard if you get resistance to filling in the tooth so that the parts that are showing solid white don't show a light tone. It's really hard to get that color to fill in. And it's possible a blending tool, like a blending pencil or spirits, like Gamsol might fix that. So Palm, I ended up putting in, I went too dark from the 67 to 72. It didn't transition well, so I popped in 66 to make that work nice. I think that blend looks fabulous. Bright looks fabulous. I did a bright number 2, which I've been adding on because I just love the color combination, and so that came out great. I got somewhere along the line, I had some blue here in the hot pinks, and I just left it there. I could have erased and started over, but I'm like, that's okay. Hot pink was lovely, and so was violet. So like this row here looks fantastic to me for an inexpensive, for me, hard-feeling pencil. And purple was good. I got to use that outer space color for the dark of the purple. And then there's those couple of kind of mauve tones. And 33 was a nice way to start out. And I even got a good blend between 33 and 41. I was concerned. I thought, maybe that's a stretch, but it blended fine. And then the blends for the 3 skin tones came out fabulous. On the left is Crayola. On the right is Kalour. I feel like the Kalour are a less expensive pencil. They're like $19.99 for 120, and then you get the Crayola 150 for 27. So maybe it's actually about the same. And I feel that both have the same amount of vibrancy. The Kalours definitely feel way softer and are easier to work with. They missed that green, leaf green, see here? That was a big miss for the 120. They do not have a light leaf green, and the equivalent Crayola greens has a nice light green that I could not find with the Kalour. And then the Kalour, I say, has something is too yellow. Too yellow, no other choices. I am looking. Maybe it was the lime. That's the only one that I can see. 088 was too yellow. No other color. Oh no, right here. For the light skin tones, I would say that the colors of the world are way better in general than probably most 120 sets, because that's what that 24 focuses on. So I really think that from the vibrancy level, the Kalour is equal, or the Crayola are equal to the Kalour, but the Kalours were way easier to work with because they are a soft, creamy pencil. Now, the Prang is what I feel is equivalent in feel to how it works, but I believe the Crayola totally rocks it in the pigment department. So the Prang is way cheaper. They both feel about the same level of hardness to me, and I'm going to test that with you next, because I want to, this is a little bit of an opinion. I can tell you that the Star Joy Gold is between the Crayola and the Star Joy Gold. I did have to use the Star Joys to see, and they are a softer pencil than the Crayola. So the question is, for me, between the Prang and the Crayola, which one is the hardest? Clearly here, the Crayola wins with the pigment department. Now this is only a 50 set, a Prang 50, but it's still, I was able to create all of the blends halfway decent with only 50 pencils. So I think for a student learning pencil, the Prang 50s for the $6 is great. All right, so that's color combos. And now I'm going to do some testing. And I am going to do the test sheet next, which I've already prepped. And I've even, you can see I really struggled, so I did a bunch of practices because I was having such a hard time consistently getting the coverage with the type of layering that I personally enjoy the most, which is light layers. And I see I had 6 layers here. I was trying really hard to get in practice to being able to fill the tooth in 4, and I just could not do it. So I just want to show you that here is clearly the Prang has even more translucency. It's not as pigmented, and I was able to, with 5 colors, consistently fill the tooth to the amount that the Prangs can be filled with only 4. And I could not, only one time was I able to get a light layer coverage fully covering the tooth in 4. So that's when I say that the pencils are hard to use. It's that it's just a little bit more work to actually get them to do what I want them to do. They don't just do it with ease like the creamier, softer pencils do. And even the Prang, though very much less pigmented, I could still fill the tooth easier. I found the Prangs, they don't put out as much, but they are an easier pencil to use. So I am going to zoom in. So that was the heavy, light layers and heavy layers. I found that heavy layers, for the most part, I can fill heavy layers in about 2. When I say it's a half, that means I went through and kind of filled in any little missing gaps. And I think that's more of a skill level. I am not as skilled as doing heavy layers. So now I'm going to zoom back down so that I can focus on doing with you guys the sunset. And when I do the sunset, I am then going to, I have not done the Starjoy Gold work yet. So I have prepared a sheet. When I did the Starjoy Gold walkthrough, I didn't have this sheet developed yet. So I will be practicing the two different styles of layering with a red here. After I finish doing the Crayola 5-color blend. And I hope that that will give me the opinion that I'm looking for. And then with Prang, I have a Prang red, and I will also I'll probably do Prang, because I've already determined that I think Starjoy Gold is slightly softer, and I think it's between the Prang and the Crayola which one is hardest. I will do the Prang right after I finish the sunset using my 5 colors. The other thing I will tell you is the Kalour 120 barrels. I have the black barrel ones that have the dipped end. Those, they do not match. And I have found that the Crayola barrel colors, and I'm sorry I did not state this, but I think not only do they have a great pigment load for the most part, they also have a decent matching barrel. So this one here is potential for being so this one, if you look at this, it is one of the few translucent ones. I can already tell that for me to get this tooth to all fill in is going to be work. And that's where the pigment load is not quite as consistent across the whole color family of all of them. And then notice how this has a very orange tip, and this is a little bit more on the tan side. So this is one of the few that doesn't match, but I think when you get right down to it, it is pretty close. It's like the tip pigment is way too dark, but what comes out when you put it on the paper does match the barrel pretty darn well. So that's that. So barrels are okay. Then going to this particular one, it's pretty pigmented. This one actually even feels a little bit more, it's a dry feeling. You can hear the ticking sound. The Holbeins do this weird ticking sound. Like when you get, because it's a drier feeling pencil, when you get a lot of pigment down and you're going over and over, it starts to rub against itself. It's kind of weird. The Lightfast, Derwent Lightfast, Holbein, and some of the Crayolas do that weird. It's like there's a drag happening when you go over the pigment over and over and over. All right. So now we will do our blending. And I had to do that with mostly heavy pressure to get it done quickly because I didn't want to waste everybody's time. So that actually is with using not my preferred method of heavy layering. So this will be a mix of heavy layering than with lighter layering. So see, I'm doing the heavy layering to get the middle done, and then I will lighten it as I go out toward the other colors. So this particular color, this is a good example. This is one that's very translucent, and you can see, I've actually colored on this page, I can see some lines. But this orange is just not able, with its pigmentation isn't the same as the other colors. And so there are some colors like this that pop up and are very difficult for me to work with. I have to work extra hard, like that gray, the medium gray color, which you will see on the larger completed project. So here I have this line where I went heavy, and I want to soften that. I could erase if I had to, but I'd like to not have to erase. Okay, and I think I've already known this before, that I have, these lines are actually from the grain of my wood. So on the left side here, because of the binders in this lighter orange, it makes this darker orange go over the top slick-like. So it's almost like I can't load any more or layer any more colors on top of this lighter orange. I hope that explains more fully what I'm experiencing with these as I do this particular sunset. See, in this one, this particular darker orange, I'm having a much easier time eliminating that line from doing the heavy layer, heavy pressure layer. All right. Did not have any leads break through sharpening. So that was nice. And I used my Jarlinki sharpener, and aside from them sounding hard and crunchy at times, because of the wood, the leads were all good. So I do believe that in the end, though I feel like I had to work pretty hard and do a lot of heavy pressure, which strains my hands, and I try to be kind to my hands. They've worked hard their whole life. I still think that this came out nice. A little extra work. So I think what I'll do, I have got this ladybug that I can practice on its own sheet, and I'm going to see if I can detect whether or not it is harder or softer feeling to me. So I'm going to do light. I'm going to say right off the bat, these are definitely a softer pencil. See, look how easy that is. All right, so I'm going to try to finish this in 4 layers. I'm doing more medium-ish. Right. Moving back to the Crayola. Grabbing the red. I'm going to just fill in a fake square here. Yep, the other's definitely softer. Okay, so Starjoy softer. Now I'm going to grab the Prang sheet. Let's take a look at our rainbow. See, let's do that. This is the Crayola, and it is way more vibrant than the Prang. Okay, so softness-wise, Prang red, make a box. I think that it's very similar to the Crayola, so I'm just going to keep going. See, I can already tell this is less pigmented, so it will probably fill in, be done in 4, and I won't be able to get any more color. But let's just finish it off. So that was 2, and I'm on my 3rd. one more, but I think that it has filled in almost all of the tooth as much as it can. But I will go a little harder on this last one. And this is with medium pressure. Okay. So that is it. That is as much as I can get. But I was able to get the tooth filled in 4. So let me go here. I'm going to do another square. I'm going to ignore that one. And we'll start all over. So far they feel very similar. That was really like 2.5. So now we're getting this weird clicking sound. I think this will be filling in the tooth okay. And I think I'm gonna give, as far as hardness goes, I think Prang wins if being a hard pencil is a good thing, which in certain situations I think it is. And this is a tad softer. And the feel is different. I feel there's way more pigment. And this particular one is, this color is kind of able, I had, this is probably like 5, I would say, altogether to get it truly all filled in, because I'm feeling a slickness now that makes it hard. I have to like go into the areas that I don't like and just really push hard. So that is something about them, where the Prangs just don't have any pigment to give. It's like they get their 4 layers and they are done. These pencils feel a tad bit softer, but when you get that weird slick clicking sound, it's hard to get more pigment to go into the areas that aren't filled in completely, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm going to give the hardest pencil in my collection. The winner is Prang. And Crayola close behind. Starjoy Gold definitely softer. So hopefully that will help those folks that are curious. Now I'm going to do the tests, which I have prepared. And I believe I have my electric eraser, my mono 0 eraser. My kneaded eraser might not be right here. Okay, on the erase test, I have hard eraser as the first thing. So we're going to take this pink pearl that is black, and we'll do a diagonal across the middle. Oh, that's pretty good. The last test I did was the Holbeins in it smeared quite a bit. This is nice. Okay, so I like that. I've got my tiny mono. I used this a lot on my project that I just finished, the big one. That took forever. And it's a little bit of work. And I definitely can go like this and get it done just like I could with the pink pearl. I also used on my project the electric. You know, I've owned this electric for I think 2 years now. It came with like 120 extra little eraser bits that are maybe a half an inch long. This is the first one. So you don't, these products and supplies and tools for colored pencil really last a long time. So that I like. So I already had experienced this, that this pigment comes up off the paper really easy, and there's very little staining underneath. Blue and red are known to be stain. However, they do all come up on the eraser, and if you don't want to contaminate your other colors, you do want to clean this off when you're done. So far all three erasers work well. Now I've got a backup kneaded eraser to see if I can do my oh yeah, picking up little bits comes up very nicely. In fact, here's how easy, so the pigment definitely comes off way easy, which tells me our smudge test might be interesting. So let's just see. I'm going to do a couple more of these. I am happy with all of the erase tests. Very good. Pretty much the Mono Zero. This one, I use it as if it is a white pencil. Let's smudge. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it does come off easily on your finger. I'm going to go ahead and do a red square. Using heavy pressure. We want lots of pigment. So this red that wasn't doing this earlier, this is this middle red. It was only the lighter orange that was not covering. So this is where I have to now go in really hard. See, so it's a little bit more difficult to get the pigment to cover the tooth. All right, so we'll take my other finger and see how well we can smudge. Not as bad as I thought. Pretty typical. Fill in the box. Let's see if we've got water. Here's a small brush pen. Just want to make sure it's clean. And then let's see what happens. Will this move? And I already prepared a red. You know, that doesn't move as much as I expected. With how easy it is to erase, I thought it would be blue a lot sooner. You can keep at it, as always, but that resisted a lot of water before it moved. So now we're going to do red. Let's see how well the red behaves. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm getting it to lift. But it takes a lot of work to get it to do that. Not bad. I've got my blending stump. I have a clean side there. I'm going to do this on the red. So, not a good reaction. Not really filling in anything as far as I can tell. I have some red on the end. The last time this was used was Holbein. I don't know if I can clean it enough. There we go. That's good. Let's see if I can move around the blue at all and fill in some tooth. Not so much. That's a lot of work. I'm using very heavy pressure. The blender pencil that I have brought we're going to skip that one. Nope, it's right here. I knew I had it. So there's my full Blender Bright Caran d'Ache. Starting with the red. Yeah, so this has got enough binder in it to actually make the color move. Now, because of, however, the Crayola, it's actually pushing off the paper the Crayola pigment, replacing it with its own pigment. So that is not as desirable as just melding into the paper. Because look at all of the crumbs. But I did say this is a dry pencil, the Crayolas. So I've cleaned this off, and now we're gonna see. I will brush off the crumbs. Do we get the same amount of crumbs for the blue? I do like how this is going down way better than the dry blending stump. And tons of crumbs. But at least I did find something, so I have to remember that if I really want to push some of the pigment into the paper, the Fulbright blender does work. I have a water. We've already seen that how the water tends to work, so I am going to use my, I am not sure what is in the blender pen. This is the Stampin' Up! Blender pen. And let's just see how it goes. Let's make sure the blue is just a stain. Yep. Well, that worked pretty well. It's not as smooth as I would like it, and now I've got a whole bunch. See, I'm getting some crumbs and things on the end of this, but there we go. I got rid of it all. So I have some little pigment bits. You can see them. Here they are. I'm going a little bit lighter on the blue. I'd like the blue to be filling in the tooth better than it is. I still see all the tooth. Not as successful as I would have liked. The blending pencil seems to work the best. Of course, burnishing with heavy pressure is my favorite way of burnishing. Bringing out that solid, slick, finished look. I have to figure out the red. That came out pretty good. I think, though I would love the greens, the blues in this Crayola 100 are the nicest. So this is a case where the barrel I don't think reflects the color. I mean, it's okay, but this looks more burgundy to me. All right, so I'm going to burnish this with heavy pressure. I thought that this worked even better than the blue. Nice. Now, the white. I actually used this white quite a bit on all of the coloring projects, and it, I think, did a decent job of the burnishing that I was using it to do. It's strong enough white that it will turn the color lighter colored, like you see this red turning to pink. However, it fills in all the tooth. So that worked nice. And I was able to, with some work, get it to move the color around the way I was, with what I was trying to do, that I will explain when we get to the projects I did. But I would say this is way harder work than the burnishing with heavy pressure. And the blue isn't doing as well as the red did. Some interesting results there. I expected the blue to be a little bit nicer behaved like the red one. So, erase test, very nice. Didn't smudge as much as I thought. Typical amount of water. I do have my jelly roll here. That's dry, or I could go up here and do a little squiggle and see if we get any staining, or if it just sits on top and stays white. Usually by now you see staining, so I am very happy with the fact that this does not react. It took a lot of work to get these two water squares to react. I will say that I get this, the pencil itself, or this pen, the gel pen, normally is a little smoother. It seems to be, the ball is putting down a mark more than I'm used to seeing, and I don't know, that might be this pen. It's very old. Yep, the pens are holding their color on the very pigmented blue. The blending stump is a no-go. Blender pencil, very nice. Blending pen, not so nice. Burnishing with heavy pressure, loved it a lot for both colors, and I liked the way the red reacted with the white better than the blue. Loved the sunset. I had a problem with the light orange yellow. You can even see that there's some pigment, that there's some yellow showing, and even here, like, I could probably clean that up. Yeah, see, I'm cleaning that up with this yellow. Nice. So it's the yellow orange, and this yellow goes down perfectly and felt good. All right, so that's going to get added to my collection of test results. And now I'm going to go on to the projects. So first, let's do skin tone. So I already videoed 2 of the 3 skin tones. We'll start with the one I did first, and that one was not videoed. And that is, I even had my husband help me pick out colors for the dresses for these fairies. And I will be finishing these off at a later date. I'm pretty much, for the most part right now, done. So they might be whips forever. This is where I used the white extensively to get the aqua to be as tooth filled in as possible. And it was still really, really challenging. The last project I did like this, that the the pencils really filled in the tooth well was the Evazar when I did the Pegasus. This was akin to that, and it took me absolutely forever to even get it looking as smooth as it is. And every time I look at it, it's not as smooth as I want it, but I think I've gotten the color as smooth as these pencils will do. And in her bodice area, this is the tooth of the paper without using white. I could not get this to fill in. I had to use the white, and I have not done white. I left the top part of her bodice natural, so to speak, with just the color that I used. And then I did use the teal colors from the color combo sheet. You know, with 100 pencils, I didn't have a lot of extra choices, so I'm just going to show you the aqua. So here's the aqua colors that I used right here to achieve that. With white. This white has been sharpened a few times. It has been used a lot. Yeah, so it is probably the shortest pencil in my Crayola collection. All right, and then skin tone, almond, worked lovely, nice to work with. Got some, you know, I made her have some muscles. You know, I was really trying to work the fine details of the skin to see what I could come up with. I have added a little bit for her eye of the teal, teeny tiny bit. Did some shadowing around her face, had a cheekbone. Her neck I did with the darkest tone, and I did not log which tones that I used, but I used 5 colors. In her case, she used the lightest 5 colors. So that was the one that took the longest. It was the longest dress material, so I did that off video. The next one was really quick. I did a rose wood nymph using darker tones. I went as dark as, if we look at the rose tones, I think I went as dark as 15. And I think you'll notice that the rose tones are very interesting because 7 looks like it could almost be an almond. 3 is pinkish, 7 is not, 9 pink, 11 a little bit more golden than pink. So the tones in the roses varied quite a bit, but in the end, I think she came out very nice looking. And then I used the lime green. Actually, Hub picked the color tones for the 3 dresses. So this one was the funnest one, I think, to do because I enjoyed getting the shadow on her shoulder and the shading here under her arm, around her face, and then her little bit of an ankle showing with her shoe. The final one was lovely. I enjoyed this. I did not do the bodice part until later. I did that in brown, and she is golden. And you would think that golden would be dark, but I kept the golden. I challenged the rose, making it the darkest skin complexion, and kept the golden to the light skin tones, and I think it came out wonderful. Very nice little highlights there on her hand and on her arm and on her face. And I think that comparing these two, this is the almond skin tone to the golden skin tone. They look very close, but they aren't. If you compare them, here's the side-by-side golden to rose. And I'll tell you, it's the only set I own that has what I would think of as a fully fleshed out set of skin tones. The next best set I have for that is the Marie's. That's I think it's Marie's 168, and it came with some really lovely skin tones. So I actually plan on keeping my skin tones in the paper case for now, the 24. I don't have a case for them to go in, and if I were to use them, I would probably just use those on a particular project because I wanted to really get detailed on the skin tone colors, I would definitely use the Crayola for that. And the color tones for the dress, I used the first 4 colors of Daisy, not doing the orange. And instead, I turned it into more of the earth tones instead of going into the orange. And this is a sun, I believe, in the background. So we call her Fairy of the Sun. Gave her a little name. And I loved coloring this. That was really easy, very nice. And I did use white, but the yellows were way easier to work with than the aqua colors. So really enjoyed playing with the skin tones. And again, the next episode, which will be 49 part 2, 49B, will be the actual coloring of the yellow and the green nymph. Hey, future me here. These are 2 ticket images that I colored with the Crayola. This was colored with the Polychromos, and this one was colored with the Kalour. And looking at all 4 of them together, I believe that they all look about equal. So I forgot to share this, and before I process the video, I wanted to get this popped into the video with the other projects that I worked on. All right, next up is my frog project, and I actually did not do the frogs. I did Mr. Fogarty. This was a free coloring page from RJ Hampson. I signed up for his newsletter, and this was what came for February. And the big fail for me was the attempt at doing some metal gold tone around the perimeter and trying to keep it simple instead of following all of the different angles, and clearly it did not work. So I have done a lot of work on erasing, lightening it up, blending it out. Used the pencil, the white pencil, a ton on this. One of the problems that I mentioned earlier is that some of the browns tend to scratch the surface, and so if you look really close, I don't know if I can get the angle right. Up here I have whatever this middle brown is, right here, that tone, scratched. And like I said, all of my leads, or the pigments, were sharp, so I have no idea how I got those scratches. And luckily for me right now, I can't even see them, so that's nice, because last night in the light that I had on my little lamp, because I was coloring in the dark, I could see it really obviously, and right now it is not showing up so much. I worked really hard. These gray pants don't look smooth at all. I can't get that gray to be smooth. I talked about that color. I am very happy with the globe, with the green and the blue. Blending it out to white, used the Crayola white for that. The hat is a darker gray, then that lighter gray over the top, and then white over the top of that. The wood here is 3 different tones. I used mahogany, 2 different dark browns, and then this is the light brown that I told you about. And then I've gone in and done some black lighting, and then the center is antique brass. That the pole holding the globe is antique brass. The bottom and the top antique brass with I grabbed a purple to do purple amethyst because I didn't have any purple in here. The warm gray is what I used for the smoke. The 3 greens I used is the green blend. I did use this green a little bit, and then forest green, and then it might be the jade green, but I think it's yellow green. See this yellow green here? So from forest green to yellow green, and the lighter toned neck is actually lemon yellow. So I have to compare to this colored image. The background is done with Copics. I used N2 for the floor and just blended it into, oh, and in fact I missed a little part right here. So we have BG000 is the sky, and I did not do this part, so I'm just going to do this all in that color. Then my most closely matched pencils, these are the Prangs. And if you can see both, let's see, we'll get all of that one on. I feel that the Crayola here shows a much more vibrant, they go into a richer, deeper color tones than I can get with the Prangs. Though I am very happy with how the Prangs came out, the Prangs were way easier to color with. Crayolas took me a long, long time. This was like an all-day project. So I'm just glad I got it all finished. My thoughts, they're very pigmented, they're very dry, and the barrels mostly match. I think they are, for me, too much work for the more advanced coloring I would like to do. I think for a beginner colorist, I think Prangs first because of price. You can't beat the price. And then I think Crayola is a fine option. But if they really think they're going to like a Prismacolor, very creamy pencil, I would say Kalour all the way. Kalour you cannot go wrong with. And all of these are going to fade. There's no light fast testing on these. So that is everything except for 49B, which is coming. That will be the color, the real-time coloring of the 2 of the 3 skin tone fairies. Please leave your comments, questions, concerns. I love to interact with you. I had somebody give me what I would call like a negative opinion, but it was a perfect thing to say because they were right. I picked a title that was not depictive of what was going to be in the content in the video. So I've updated it, thanked her for it. So even if you see something that I can improve on, let me know. I won't be offended. I will definitely want to be learning from you guys and getting input from you. So again, do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.